strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well, tell me about that one more time on how it does not matter who the host is. Anyways, today is Thursday, February the 24th of 2022, day 55 of the year, and only 310 days left to go. I wonder how many times we get to say this over and over and over and over and over again in regards of how many days we have left, because I think this is something we talk about constantly, so I guess that's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you want to take a look at it. Anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we tend to do stuff with, because that's what we do.
Radio.
So, of course, we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at Radio Big. So how was it for you? How was your overnight? Did you take a look at what was going on inside of the world of the news? Have you heard some of the stories, some of the things that are happening? Let's start talking right away on some of the things that were going on according to the trends yesterday. Trending yesterday was no COVID. It was trending on Twitter as users shared whether or not they have had COVID. Also, Jane Fonda was trending as the news broke that she is teaming up with Tom Brady. There will be more about that later on. Social media users reacted to the death of the amazing Jonathan. More on that when we talk about deaths a little bit later on. Thanks Joe Biden was trending as Twitter users sarcastically thanked the president for the rising gas prices, inflation, and potential starting World War III. There were a few more who actually used the trend to praise the president, so I don't know. And then hashtag Spider-Man No Way Home was trending after Marvel announced that the film will finally be released on UHD and Blu-ray on April the 12th, and of course on digital format prior to that, so that was trending as of ayer. So people were excited talking about some of that stuff. Of course, there was a whole other slew of things that are going on. So maybe, just maybe, we should start talking about those things, because I think that those things are going to be more important than what we're talking about right now. What do you think? So if you're kind of new to this, this is how it goes. We hang out, we talk about what's going on inside of the world of the news. We talk about what's going on inside of the world of safety. We sprinkle some things here, some things there. Some people get pissed off. Some people get happy. But you get to interact with the show if you want to do so by going to callinradio.com. That is callinradio.com, and that will take care of it. So that's all you have to do if you want to interact. That will bring you into our messaging system, our phone line system, and also our video messaging system. So you kind of have a combination of a little bit of everything to do. So there you go. There is that today that we're talking about. So anyways, I think we should probably get you into the news. We'll give you 3 minutes from feature story and then 2 minutes of our other correspondence. So let's go ahead and do that right now. No, seriously, let's do that right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Russia is carrying out a military assault on Ukraine. Attacks have been reported on targets in multiple locations across the country. Russian President Vladimir Putin delivered a TV address insisting he didn't want to occupy Ukraine, but said he would seek its demilitarization. US President Joe Biden says there will be a united response from America and its allies. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is urging Vladimir Putin to step back from the brink.
Millions of Russians do not want war. President Putin is trying to turn the clock back to the times of the Russian Empire. But in doing so, he is putting at risk the future of the Russian people. I call on Russia to immediately stop the violence and to withdraw its troops from Ukraine's territory.
Shortly before the Russian president's speech was screened on Russian state TV, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres delivered a direct appeal.
I have only one thing to say from the bottom of my heart. President Putin, stop your troops from attacking the Ukraine. Give peace a chance. Too many people have already died.
Julia Chapman has more now from FSN's base at Rostov-on-Don near the eastern Ukrainian border.
We have been seeing huge buildups of troops and equipment on the border with Ukraine for weeks and months now, and it appears that they are being put into action after President Putin announced this special military operation in the early hours of this morning. The Rostov region, which has seen an influx of evacuees already in the last week from the eastern Donbass region. It's expected to get many, many more people fleeing as this turns into a full-scale conflict. We do not know exactly what the movements of the Russian troops are from this area into the Donbass, because, of course, those are separatist-controlled areas allied with Russia, and so information there is pretty scarce. But we are hearing from the Ukrainian military in the areas that they control that there have been strikes on a number of areas. A number of military infrastructure points have been targeted by the Russian Ministry of Defense.
Journalist Matt Fry is in Kiev, the Ukrainian capital. He says Western countries will fear any response will not have an impact on Putin's actions.
Maybe his calculation is, I'm going to get whacked by these sanctions. Not that they make a blind bit of difference to his thinking. Anyway, I might as well go all in. This is my opportunity to do what I've intended to do, what I've said I would do for decades, which is to subjugate Ukraine, which I do not consider to be an independent country. This is part of Mother Russia.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. Panic is unfolding in Ukraine at this hour as the country fights a Russian invasion. Former NATO Supreme Allied Commander James Stavridis says what's unfolding is as big an event in international global security as anything he can remember.
It's kind of reminiscent of the United States' approach in Iraq. This is shock and awe. This is Invasion 101. It's multi-axis. It's explosions all across the country.
People are rushing to banks and crowding gas stations. There's also a huge traffic jam in the capital as hundreds of families are desperate to escape amid explosions. Travel isn't any easier by air as Ukraine has shut down its airspace. Several neighboring countries are preparing to take in a large number of refugees. President Biden will address the nation today on Ukraine. More from Mark Mayfield.
In a statement late Wednesday night, Biden said his prayers are with the people of Ukraine as they suffer an unprovoked and unjustified attack by Russian military forces. He said the premeditated war will bring a catastrophic loss of life and human suffering. Biden noted he is meeting with his G7 counterparts and then will tell the American people what consequences the U.S. and its allies will impose on Russia.
Demonstrators are at the Russian embassy in D.C. this morning to protest the invasion. They began gathering outside after Russia's president declared war. Some are carrying Ukrainian flags, Russian flags, and signs that say, "Never again." Ukrainian Americans are anxiously watching and praying as the invasion continues. Tanya is a waitress at a New York City Ukrainian restaurant.
I'm very worried because all my family is there, but thanks God they're in west part of Ukraine. So it's closer to Poland.
European markets, Asian markets, and the U.S. stock futures are all taking a huge dive. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has been cratering overnight, down well over 800 points as of 7 a.m. Eastern. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring
Safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
We all want to make sure that our family is protected in medical emergencies. What many of us don't realize is that health insurance won't always cover the full amount of an emergency medical flight. Even with comprehensive coverage, you could get hit with high deductibles and copays. That's why an Air Medcare Network membership is so important. As a member, if an emergency arises, you won't see a bill for air medical transport when flown by an AMCN provider. Best of all, a membership covers your entire household for as little as $85 a year. AMCN providers are called upon to transport nearly 100,000 patients a year. This is coverage no family should go without. Now, as a Jay Allen Show listener, you'll get up to a $50 e-gift card with a new membership. Simply visit airmedcarenetwork.com/safety and use the offer code SAFETY. And don't forget to tell them that Jay Allen sent you.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, so there you go. Currently 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on either Radio Big or Safety FM, but you definitely know you are at the Rated R Safety Show. So let's start talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the news. As you can see, there is a lot of mundo, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff moving and grooving as we are talking. So let's do this right now, and let's start talking. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced Wednesday that he was revoking the Emergency Act powers that gave him tremendous authority about what was going on inside of Canada. Trudeau leveraged these powers to create a police state, that the country capital was shut down the bank accounts of many of the protesters at the people who contributed to the cause. So there you go. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland said that some of those whose accounts were frozen were indefinitely not have had access to their accounts, and it depends on the person, but gave no clear metric on who and how they would get the access back if it was something that they were going to give back to them. So just so you know. So there you go. Why the vote for Parliament just 2 nights ago extended these powers. What they changed was the political climate or the practical real world, and then withdraw the authoritarian powers. So I don't know. They said 2 days ago they were doing one thing, and then another thing ended up occurring. So on some other notes, as several American trucker convoys head towards Washington, D.C., the National Guard has been activated to prevent lockdown on the Beltway. The Pentagon has authorized 700 troops in total, as well as 50 tactical vehicles, all tacked with keeping the traffic flowing. This is according to the USA Today. That's what they're reporting over there on that side. So interesting to see. So careful to avoid the optics of total crackdown in Canada. The Guard members will not be armed. So something to think about. Meanwhile, a convoy from California launched on Wednesday, and it is planning to arrive in D.C. on March the 5th. One independent journalist says that more than 1,000 vehicle, cars, pickups, and semis are in the group. So think about that. Today is the 24th, and they're saying that by the 5th of next month, they'll be there. Keep in mind, this is a short month as well. So just something to think about on how those things are going to end up working. So some things going on there for sure. Anyways, let's continue. Time Magazine would like to absolve you of any shame you feel on getting COVID. For the people who think that they can be outsmarted billions of years of viral genetic evolution with a piece of fabric. Studies and reports show that many people who test positive for an experience feel shame and guilt, perhaps because of the regret of accidental exposure to others, and feel like failures for not doing enough to prevent it or experience stigma online. This is according to Jamie Ducharme, writes, apparently speaking only on hair on fire, on the hair on fire that some Biden voters had, according to what the report says. Ducharme says that COVID is such a contagious and widespread disease that the feeling guilty for contracting it is at a point of being illogical. So I don't know. Some things to think about. So let's talk about that. If you, during this pandemic time, got COVID, did you feel weird about getting it? Did you feel guilty? Did you feel shamed? I don't know. I heard of some people getting it, that I knew directly, and none of them ever came across with, I have a level of shame. They did take some precautions, or they had some concerns after they got it. So I don't know. Maybe that's an interesting news story for someone else to share, not really me.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Okay, so there you go. A small aluminum doghouse was struck by a meteorite in Costa Rica in 2019 and went for auction block for Christie's yesterday. For whatever reason, it was hoped to get $300,000, but it sold for paltry $44,000. Weirder yet, a space rock wasn't even included with the sale. It sold separately for $7,000. The head of the Science and Natural History Department at Christie's tells CNN that the objects struck by the meteorite actually are incredibly rare. So let me just make sure that I get this. This doghouse gets hit by a meteorite, and you're expecting $300,000 for it. And you do not include the rock that hits it. I mean, you couldn't do some kind of package deal there where you kind of got the gig. I mean, and how the hell did you expect $300,000 for this? Especially with no rock. I mean, how do I know you just didn't hit the damn thing with a bat or something? I mean, I don't know.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Pepsi is rolling out a new flavor. Pepsi Nitro promises a smoother and creamier taste and texture than the traditional Pepsi. It's infused with nitrogen, giving it its name. It's expected to hit the shelves by the end of March. So, this is going to get interesting. What are you going to think that's going to look like? I'm going to need to go take a hit of nitro real quick before I can move forward. I mean, it sounds like a weird one, that's for sure. I mean, think about this for a moment as we are talking. It's like you're going to take some nitro to be able to move forward with whatever the hell you have going on. I don't know. It makes it some interesting times for sure. Okay, 21 minutes past the top of the hour. It is time to bring in Johnny Smalls for the Market Beat Minute. Let me make sure I'm clear. Market Beat Minute, so I don't do another screw up like I did yesterday. So let's take a listen together.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Thursday, February 24th, 2022. The major indices fell for a fourth day Wednesday, setting new lows in the process. The S&P 500 closed near the low of the session with a decline of 1.84% and below the key 4,300 level. With the index at this new low, the odds of a much deeper decline have risen. The next key line in the sand is at the low of Wednesday's session, and if broken, investors can look forward to another 200-point decline in the broad market. The next key test for the market will come Friday with the release of the PCE price index. The index is the Fed's favored tool for measuring consumer-level inflation, and it's expected to be hot. The takeaway here is the fundamental conditions on which the market rally is based are about to be changed at a more aggressive rate than anyone thought possible. The risk for the market is tremendous. You could get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, Johnny Smalls, for that one. So what do you think now when you hear something like that? Does your paranoia start kicking in? Let's just be realistic. The Dow lost 464 points on Wednesday amid confusion and tension over the situation in Ukraine. The S&P lost about 80 points, as you just heard, altogether. So what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be some weird times for sure as we are talking, because it's kind of all over the place as we are here. So with that being said right now, let's talk about two portions real quick. Let's talk about Ukraine on how they're on high alert as Russia launches an invasion.
It's a disaster. I don't approve it. I don't like it, and I don't want it to be like that at all.
So Ukrainian president is declaring martial law throughout the country in the face of the unfolding invasion. He also agreed to provide weapons to anyone willing and able to defend the nation. Think about that. So full-blown martial law going on over there right now as we are speaking. So what do you think about this? What do you think about this occurring in this time? It's an interesting time for sure as we are talking, and I don't even know what to say when it comes to some of these things because it's just so different than what we've been talking about for the last few years. So Russian invasion over Ukraine condemned. Russia is being widely condemned today by invading its neighbors, Ukraine. Congressman Adam Schiff says that Russian President Vladimir Putin may end up paying a heavy price for this action.
This will be a costly, bloody campaign, and it's a terrible tragedy to the civilians in Ukraine, but also means that a lot of Russians are going to go home in body bags.
So the California Democrat says that stopping Russia's attack would and could have required American military intervention. So what do you think? What do you think about this as you hear this? What comes to mind as we start talking about this? And of course, it's going to be some heavy news with some of the stuff that we're talking about. It's not going to be all, cats and skies and all that kind of fun stuff. Some of the stuff that we try to talk about, just to keep it kind of lighthearted around here, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be that way. Anyways, there's a video right now circulating online that shows allegedly impaired driver collide head-on with a police cruiser in Middleton, Wisconsin. No word whether the driver or police officer suffered serious injuries. Also no word on the list of charges the driver faces. According to USA Today, it's the city's fifth police vehicle to be damaged in the past 2 years by alleged impaired drivers. So
see the video's logo right here.
So of course something dumb would happen as we would do this. Let me see if I can pull this. And of course, it's going to be a dash cam, so it's not going to be something that I will be able to share with you. But this car comes head on, and boom! I mean, it takes the police cruiser head on. No doubt about it whatsoever, as that does occur right there. So anyways, the video, like I said, is circulating online. It is entirely up to you if you want to go take a look-see at it as we are talking on this lovely Thursday. It is Thursday. Wow, man, where has the time gone? Seems like this week has been flying for sure as we are talking. So it's kind of early, but I think that it could be important to do this now. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let me tell you about my friends at the American foundation for suicide prevention. It's always important to talk about this. Whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experience for people in your local communities whose lives have been impacted by suicide and depression. To hear more information, all you have to do is call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741, or you can go to their website, afsp.org. That is afsp.org, to find out more information. I'm going to tell you, you never know when this might be crucial to come into your life. You never know when this might be an important thing to be able to share with someone else. So I always tell people, hey, let's be on the lookout and have as much information as possible, because we just never know when this might be something that you need, where this might be something that you would want to share or that you need to share. So anyways, as we are talking, it is 27 minutes past the top of the hour, so I think it is time to do that thing that we call the main story. So let's go ahead and do that.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So I'm going to tell you the next thing is not going to make me a popular person, and I'm perfectly fine with that because I've never wanted to be that. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about that idea of living in these perfect worlds where nothing goes wrong. Let's think about this idea where we're in an organization where nothing ever happens, where everything is perfect. We have no injuries, we have no fatalities, we have everything perfect, and we have the drive to zero. Have you heard it? Have you heard about this drive to zero thing? I'm sure at this point you've heard it everywhere. You've heard people talk about this all the time, about how our organization our goal is drive to zero. We're going to have no injuries. We're going to have no incidents. We're going to have nothing going on inside of our organization because we're going to deem it to be absolutely perfect. Well, I got bad news for you. And you know this and I know this, so I'm not going to tell you anything that's out of left field here. But the drive to zero is essentially bullshit. Let's just be realistic. The drive to zero is a good idea conceptually. It is a great idea to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. It is a great idea of being able to move within the organization and say, okay, this is what we're going to, this is what we're doing, and life will be perfect. Don't get me wrong. Everybody wants people to do extremely well, people to make it back home exactly how they came in. I get it. Don't get me wrong here. But at some point, you have to realize that because it's such a great idea does not mean that it's an effective idea. And what's going to end up happening, if you haven't realized this, is that people are not going to speak up. People are not going to talk about the things that do occur. It's just the way that it goes. Conceptually, it's great. In regards of this is how we're going to move forward. This is what we're going to do. But how honest do you think people are going to be? If you have an organization that's went for a period of time with quote unquote no incidents, when do you think if something happens, they'll turn around and say something? Would it have to be something pretty catastrophic for something to be mentioned? I'm just asking the question. And these are the things that I sit around and think about all the time because it becomes one of those weird conversations where you go, okay, you never want to have something that's drive to 5. I mean, we know that. You know that. But at what point do you say, this sounds like a good idea inside of our organization? I mean, if someone can tell me on how this would be different in regards of people not reporting, or that people would report everything still and this will help drive to zero, I would love to hear about it. The problem is that I have never had anyone give me the conversation piece back where it made sense to me, where it turned around and I was like, oh yeah, this is something that would be effective inside of most places, just not how it occurs. So I look at this and I kind of sit back and I chuckle for a moment. And every year I receive a magazine, and there's this thing that's released. And I'm not picking on these people, but you get this that comes out every year. And this comes out from Safety and Health by the National Safety Council that talks about the CEOs who get it. Now, if you're not on the video thing, you're not going to see this, but it gives you a list of the 2022 CEOs who get it. Now, my question has always been with this is I know that this is something that somebody else turns in and says, hey, we would like to nominate this person to be a CEO who gets it. And what are they talking about? Well, it's a recognition about how they get safety. And of course, somebody has to actually say that, the person they're nominating did this, this, and this is why they think they should be nominated. It becomes a weird one here. And let me explain, because how do you nominate someone if they don't get it? And I'm not saying the people on the list don't get it, but you are aware that there will be some time, some place and time that people will say, hey, let's nominate someone because they get safety. But do they really? If they have one of these Drive to Zero programs, is that really getting safety? Now, I will tell you, several years ago, I worked for an organization that I had told them about this, about how the National Safety Council has this program. And I was asked if I would submit the CEO of the organization, of the North American side of the business, for the CEO to actually be as one of the people who gets it. Now, I will tell you, after being at that organization for a small amount of time, I came to the realization that the CEO did not get it, regardless of how many times I would go into his office and speak with him and try to communicate on things that we should plan together, because he was the man in charge. Unfortunately, when they asked me this, I said no, that I would not nominate him. And I had a second person come to me after I had said that I would not nominate the person because I did not feel comfortable putting my name on it, that I needed to understand that the organization paid me to do work there, and that this is something that I should heavily consider. Now, I don't know how well you take threats, but I kind of took it from that standpoint of that if I didn't do this, I was going to be in trouble. So you know how I am. I didn't do it. I still didn't do it. But it bothers me to this date that was kind of how it was put upon me. Now, keep in mind that the National Safety Council has nothing to do with this, that they take a look at what was submitted, kind of go through the things, have some questions and all that kind of fun stuff, but that's about it. But I take a look at this and I go, do the CEOs really get it, or do the people really get it there on the covers? Which I'm assuming that if somebody nominated, hopefully it was with goodwill. But when you take a look around at the whole big picture of things, if you knew or know that these people have a Drive to Zero program, is that going to be the way to do it? I mean, a few days ago, the National Highway Safety Administration said that they were going to be portion and proponents of Drive to Zero. Well, I am sorry, but we live in a pretty big freaking country here in the U.S., and I just don't see how it's going to be possible for there to be zero accidents on the highways throughout the U.S. Now, idealistically, that would be a great idea. In reality, I just don't think it's possible. Unless you close down every single highway in the U.S. and you had no drivers on the road. That would be the only way that I could see that actually happening. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here. But also at the same time, we have to be realistic when it comes to these things. So what do you think about this Drive to Zero? Is it something that you're doing in your organization? Is it something that you're doing that you see success? And how do those successes work? Because here's my question to you. If you have this program inside of your organization and one incident happens, does the whole program stop? Because you already drove to one. It's not really driving to zero per se. But anyways, that's my thought. What the hell do I know? Just a guy behind a microphone.
Oops.
What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open, don't speak with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
These days, it can be hard to find and hire the right candidates for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs made it easier to find the people that you want to talk to faster and for free. I have to tell you, even before they ever became a sponsor here on Safety FM, we have used LinkedIn Jobs to help find the people that we have here on Safety FM. It's an easy service to use. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 770 million people. Focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience and use screening questions to get your role in front of only the most qualified candidates. Then use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/safetyfm. That's linkedin.com/safetyfm to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. 40 minutes past the top of the hour. Rated R Safety Show, Thursday edition. So before I get too far into this, maybe I should mention this. Today is my day that I get to meet, finally live and in person and in living color after some time here, Mr. Jim Posel from Safety Wars in person. So this will be fun. Figured I'd bring that up and give it a share. Of course, hopefully you are taking a good listen to Safety Wars here on Safety FM. Anyway, so let's talk about this real quick. This is Run the Race by Martin Hall. This song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. Thank you for Martin Hall for allowing us to play this one here. You know, it has that indie pop thing going for it. Okay, so let's go. Let's go to that place that nobody ever wants to talk about. Let's talk about the swamp here. Let's talk about the swamp. Okay, for all the desire for the grand jury to investigate former President Trump, the current one in New York doesn't appear to be going well. The New York Times reports that the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has signaled doubts about moving ahead with the Trump probe, which has caused two prosecutors working on the case to resign. No details yet on why Bragg's feeling confident on the case. Worth noting, you didn't think that after all the accusations over the last 6 years, if there was something to convict Trump on, that it would already been done by now. But someone else has now said that this is the case. Anyways, let's talk about some Gallup polls real quick. Only 41% of Americans approve of the overall of President Joe Biden. 40% of Americans approve of this foreign policy. 62% disapprove of his handling of the economy, and only 36% approve of his handling of Russia. Now, the only thing is that this gets worse because take a listen to this. The survey concluded on February the 17th before Russia moved into the Ukraine. So it'll be interesting to see on what happens here over the next few days. So think about that. Anyways, no winner for Tuesday night's Mega Million drawing. Friday night's drawing will be for $87 million or a $58.2 million cash payout. So you have some options if you do tend to play the game. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world. So Russian invasion will impact people's wallets. Russia has invaded the Ukraine, and people will soon feel the invasion in their wallets. Paul Rubidoux has some more information.
Locals might soon see prices rising at the pump and on their heating bill. Russia sells about 12% of the world's crude oil. Oil market prices jumped over 5% overnight as the invasion started. Today is the first time crude oil has cost more than $100 a barrel since 2014. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline feeding Russian natural gas to the rest of the world is also put on hold. This could possibly lead to a rise in home heating costs. I'm Paul Rubidoux.
Okay, thanks, Paul, for that one. I mean, it's information that we need to know about, that is for sure, as we are taking a listen to some of the things that are going on out there. What else? Let's see. Let's talk about this real quick. How much do you want to dive into this Ukraine thing? I mean, I can jump around and do some other things as well. I mean, I have some information about everything that kind of goes around. But let's talk about this one. Let's jump into something slightly different for just one moment. Dead cinematographer and husband is angry at Alec Baldwin, the late cinematographer Helena. Husband is angry at Alec Baldwin after the actor accidentally shot and killed her on a New Mexico set for a movie last year, and is still grieving. Matthew Hutchins tells the Today Show that Baldwin has yet to take the responsibility.
I just felt so angry. I was just so angry to see him talk about her death so publicly in such a detailed way, and then to not accept any responsibility after having just described killing her.
Hutchins filed a lawsuit earlier this month against Baldwin and several other people on the Rust crew. I'm sure that more of that will continue we'll continue to talk about as the months do go on. Ukraine panic as Russian invade. Let's talk about this. Panic is starting to set in within the Ukraine people as Russia begins major invasion of its country. NBC's Cal Perry is on the ground in Ukraine.
Here in Lviv, in the western part of the city, it is quiet, but the concern is going to be quickly a refugee crisis. Most of the people in this country are going to try to flee the fighting.
Gas stations are closing as thousands try to flee the country, creating traffic jams on the highways that goes on for miles and miles. There is a massive crush of people at the ATMs trying to get as much cash as they can. Cyber attacks have hit Ukraine banks, and police say that many residents got false text messages saying that ATMs in the country did not work. Also, Cal Perry says that people are feeling as the bombs drop.
We are starting to receive reports that an airfield about 18 miles from the capital has now been taken by Russian forces. As that news spread, the roads filled up.
Perry says there will be a lot of questions soon.
People started leaving the capital. There was a run on the ATM machines. All of this is going to raise question, guys, about why the government here for so long was downplaying this threat.
So a lot of stuff going on there as we are talking. Biden seeking to rally support for Ukraine. President Biden today will try to rally global support for Ukraine as it faces invading Russians. Carol Lee has more.
The president's going to speak later today. It's the first we'll hear from him. We've only seen written statements from him since this attack began, and he's supposed to outline what they've said are going to be some very severe sanctions.
Okay, Biden is due to meet virtually with leaders of the G7 nations this morning before speaking to the country later on. Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered his troops into the Ukraine yesterday, sparking immediate condemnation from most of the world. China is rejecting the notion of calling Russia's attack an invasion. Carol Lee says that President Biden is weighing in on more sanctions against Russia.
What we've heard from President Biden is that he wants to try to do these sanctions against Russia in a way that doesn't inflict so much pain on the American people and our economy. We're already seeing skyrocketing gas prices.
So a lot of stuff I'm sure we'll be talking about here over the next little bit in that particular regards. It is 48 minutes past the top of the hour. The only way that I think I can fix this is by saying, let's bring Johnny Smalls in one more time, and let's have a Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote has been submitted by Vadim. Warren Buffett said, "Price is what you pay. Value is what you get." I love this quote. I saw it posted on Facebook and I asked Vadim for permission to share it. Thank you so much, Vadim. It reminds me of a fascinating study where over 10,000 people were involved in buying items online. The items were identical other than price. MIT thought 100% would pick the lowest price. Interestingly, less than half chose the cheapest. More people chose to scroll down and find a more expensive option from a company they actually knew. So what this means, if they've never heard of you, it's hard to build value at any price. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by alasamorgan.com. Previously, we discussed how the timing of meal consumption affects how the body ends up processing food. Well, you may be surprised to find out that this also applies to chocolate. A randomized control trial found that eating 100 grams of chocolate for 12 weeks has differential effects on waist circumference, hunger, metabolism, fasting glucose, and microbiome, depending on whether the chocolate was consumed in the morning or in the evening. Morning chocolate reduced waist circumference and spontaneously reduced participants' daily energy intake by 16% compared to no chocolate. Evening chocolate had no effect on waist circumference and slightly reduced energy intake. Overall, it may be worth considering consuming chocolate in the morning. For additional information on wellness, check out alasamorgan.com.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let me make sure that I got that clear. So should I go tell my wife that the fitness person here has told us that we need, or the wellness person has told us that we need to start eating chocolate in the morning? I mean, think that sounds like a great plan, but I'm just not sure how well that's going to go over. So let's continue talking about some more things here. Ukrainian Americans are in fear after Russian invasion. Ukrainian Americans in New York are in fear that as they watch Russia invade their home country. Scott Pringle has some more information.
Tanya is a waitress at a New York City Ukrainian restaurant.
I'm very worried because all my family is there.
There are thousands of Ukrainian Americans in the East Village. This woman says her dad and other family members are in Ukraine, and at one point they were hiding in a basement of a school, fearing it would be bombed.
People are afraid, they're terrified, fearful. There is no future.
Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, thank you, Scott Pringle, for that one and what is going on. We'll give you some more news as we get it here live and in living color, so don't worry about that as we are talking here today. Anyways, let's get back into it. 51 minutes past the top of the hour. At the top of the hour, I will be going over to Radio Big. We'll drop out of Safety FM. We'll drop out of the streaming. We will be doing Radio Big.fm alone, so if you want to come over, hang out with us, you're more than welcome to do so. So we'll do a couple hours of music, all that kind of fun stuff, talk about the world of entertainment, some other new stuff as we try to get that thing in real time as close as possible. Anyways, let's start talking about some other things. Smile and Waves. It's been 3 years in the making, but the world's largest cruise ship is finally ready to set sail, or rather cruise. Measuring a staggering 1,188 feet, the Royal Caribbean Wonders of the Sea will begin the maiden voyage from Fort Lauderdale to the Caribbean on March the 4th. To give you an idea of its size, the 18-deck cruise ship has more room for 7,000 guests, 2,300 crew members. Wonders of the Seas consists of 8 neighborhoods, one which contains over 20,000 real plants, and its onboard features include 10-story zip line, the world's tallest slide at sea, a huge poolside movie screen, and the 236,857-ton vessel has been built in France and was originally scheduled to be delivered in 2021, but it was pushed back due to the delays related to the pandemic. It's not like anyone has been anxious awaiting the chance to line up for a buffet aboard a cruise ship for the past 2 years anyway, so that's something to think about. And it's so big that it's the only ship in history where you can actually live on the wrong side of the tracks. I mean, think about that real quick as we are talking about it.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, a travel security expert says that if you're staying in a hotel, you should never book a room higher than the 4th floor. In fact, you should also not stay anywhere below the 2nd floor. Lloyd Friggins is a travel risk expert and former soldier, says that the main reason that you should never stay between the 2nd and 4th floor, you should stay between the 2nd and the 4th floor, is for the chance of a fire. Those staying at the hotel usually are in an unfamiliar environment, may not be immediately know what to do if the fire alarm goes off, on which way to go if you find an exit. And he points out that fire departments' ladders are rarely above a 4th story. Okay, fine, no higher than the 4th floor, but should we avoid staying on the ground? It sounds like it would be the safest place to be because, the targeting of burglars are most often according to experts. So why does the ladder matter if it's not like that you could open the hotel window and do anything less than a grenade anyways? I mean, just something to think about. I don't understand this. So if you don't go taller than the 4th floor and you can't stay on the bottom floor because of potential theft, I mean, what the hell do you do? So 2nd and 3rd floor only. I mean, I just don't understand, if people are going to be very happy about the views there, about the 2nd and 3rd floor. I'm just throwing that out there just for an idea purpose, just for talking about it. Anyways, weekend plans, staying in is apparently a new going out, according to a new survey of adults. Apparently, we don't feel like doing anything in the weekend. 71% of us say that we like it when plans are canceled, so we just stay in. 3 in 4 of those surveys agreed that nothing better than having no plans for the weekend. While a large majority, 69% of 2,000 Americans surveyed prefer to stay home on weeknights, 38% say that they are likely to be more homebodies on Saturdays and Sundays. According to one poll study, 80% would prefer to have the night with friends on the weekend. rather than go out on the town. And what is perfect, what is the perfect night on the weeknight? Binge watching TV is 53% of people said, followed by reading a book by 32% of people, and going on a nice walk was the other 30% said about the whole ordeal. My perfect weekend evening involves a night in and a wife is going out. Perfect. No, I'm just joking as I say that. And some of us just never get invited anywhere, so it's not really something to be too concerned about when you really start thinking about it.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Today's Did You Know sounds like this. Not only are they delicious, watermelons offer a wide array of health benefits. A new study by a team at the Illinois Institute of Technology has found that the watermelons is quite unique as it contains various compounds of benefits of multiple bodily areas, including amino acids, antioxidants, minerals, and essential vitamins. The researchers found that watermelons not only offer cardiovascular benefits and improved metabolism health benefits, it also can benefit the brain health and body weight control. They concluded that that making watermelons as a regular part of one's diet may help promote greater overall health. So there you go. That's probably something you did not know. So that's why we call it Did You Know? Make sense? Hope so. Okay, let's continue talking about some other things real quick. If you are looking, let's see. If you are looking at some birthdays for today, here they are. Trace Cyrus turns 33. Bryce Pamperbrook turns 36. He's a voice actor, just in case. Corey Graves turns 38. Shinsuke Nakamura turns 42. Floyd Mayweather, 45. Billy Zane, 56. And Phil Knight turns 84, just in case, the co-founder of Nike, just in case you weren't sure. If you're looking on something that happened back on this date, let's talk about it. In 2020, Harvey Weinstein is found guilty of rape and sexual assault 3 years after allegations first surfaced. The former Hollywood producer is sentenced to 23 years in jail, and Weinstein's case ignited the hashtag #MeToo movement. So there you go. That happened back in 2020. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate today, I got some of those. World Bartender Day, National Chili Day, National Toast Day, and the most important, all-important, National Tortilla Chip Day. Yep, tortilla chips. It's an important one. Anyways, 58 minutes past the top of the hour. We're going to have to head out and get you to the places that you want to be at. So let's do that real quick. If you need a random joke for today, I got one for you. It goes something like this. I didn't even know how broke I was until last year someone stole my identity and it ruined his life. If you need a phone starter for today, try this one. What subject do you love to geek out about? If you need something for the water cooler, try this one. The majority of men say that they hate shopping for this the most. What is it? Furniture. So there you go. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show exclusively on RadioBig.fm and SafetyFM.com. We can't do what we do without you, the most important part of both stations, and that is the listener. Like I said, if you want to come and hang out, I'll be going over to Radio Big and doing the things that we do over there. Anyways, if I can leave you with a thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. What lies behind you and what lies ahead of you are tiny matters compared to what the life is that you live. Think about that. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.